We will drain the swamp in Washington, D.C. and replace it with a new government of, by, and for the people. Believe me. That is why I have chosen Gettysburg to unveil this contract. I'm asking the American people to rise above the noise and the clutter.
Donald Trump in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania over the weekend, laying out what he calls a contract with American voters. He did that, as I said, on Saturday, and it was full of moments like the one you just saw, but the media focused more on the next line, where Trump went after the women who have accused him of sexual assault or harassment. Watch this.
All of these liars will be sued after the election is over. But a simple phone call placed to the biggest newspapers or television networks gets them wall-to-wall coverage with virtually no fact-checking whatsoever.
Howie Kurtz, Fox News media analyst and host of Media Buzz. Good morning to you, Howie.
Good morning.
You know, obviously he is still very upset about the charges that these women brought, but a lot of people believe that he stepped on his own message with this contract.
Stepped on his own message would be a polite way of putting it. Look, the media have a bias towards scandal over substance. No argument there. It's baked into the cake. Every politician knows it. So this was a heavily promoted address at Gettysburg in which Donald Trump was going to try to refocus his candidacy on these policy issues, this contract with American voters. And if that was all he had said, then that would have been the story for the day. Instead, he goes back into the women who have accused him, calls them liars, says he's going to sue them, which is a new element. Accuses the media of not fact-checking, which is not right. Certain news organizations have talked to other witnesses who the complainants have had shared their stories with at the time, and so it's hardly shocking that, you know, if Trump's going to serve all these vegetables, broccoli and Brussels sprouts and mushrooms of policy, and then he serves up an ice cream sundae in the form of going back to the women he's going to sue them, that the press would go for dessert. Yeah,
I mean, just politically, it's a bad move, because that was not in the conversation over the last several days, and then he put it right back into the conversation with that comment, which is politically probably not the way to go. Let's take a look at some of what he offered in this new contract, because it would have gotten more attention had he not made that other comment. Congressional term limits is part of this contract that he proposes, a freeze on hiring federal workers, crackdown on leaving Congress and then becoming a lobbyist, lifetime ban on senior executive officials lobbying foreign governments, which would include, you know, the former Secretary of State raising money from foreign governments, I would imagine, and a 2-year mandatory sentence. If you are an illegal immigrant and you are kicked out of this country and you return, you would get a 2-year mandatory sentence. All of which are ideas that could be very compelling to conservatives in this country, Howie, if he hadn't stepped on the message.
Right. I mean, some of this he said before, but some of these proposals were new. And if he had made these proposals and stayed with them in the beginning of September or the end of September, it really fits his candidacy well. And he's the outsider billionaire running against the status quo, running against Hillary Clinton as a symbol of a failed system. I think these really would have resonated. But we've seen this problem with Trump before. After the Democratic convention, he spent several days attacking the Khan family, the Gold Star family that spoke at the convention. We saw it after the first debate with the Alicia Machado, the former Miss Universe. He kept that story alive. And I think the story, legitimate story about the women who've accused Donald Trump of sexual misconduct was really starting to fade, as you noted. And then with that, even that one paragraph at Gettysburg, he brought it back to the fore. Yeah.
I want to get your thoughts on this 2-page spread in today's New York Times. They spent a lot of ink on this one, and it covers the people or institutions that they say Donald Trump has insulted over the course of the election. Can we expect that they will run something similar on Hillary Clinton, Howie?
No. Now, I can't object on journalistic grounds to using a candidate's own words and even doing a big compilation, because people aren't always paying attention every single day of what he said on Twitter and all of that. But it's a question of volume, and we see this in all the major media outlets that focus so heavily on Trump, and much of that is negative. Why not devote 2 full pages to many of the WikiLeaks hacked emails involving John Podesta and the Hillary Clinton campaign? Those have dribbled out day by day. I'd like to see a big compilation mention of that. And so that's the thing that gives people the impression that many elements in the press are not just reporting on Donald Trump, but are almost campaigning against him.
It doesn't even to be a pretense of being fair in this particular case. But it's worth reading. There's some funny stuff in there. He goes after the state of New Jersey, Major League Baseball, and calls them ridiculous, and somehow makes the list as well.
Ouch.
So anyway, Howie, thank you very much. Good to see you as always.